It's not stressful at all. Everything works out.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. If you would just go ahead and find a place to stay still for a moment. We'll go ahead and get started. As Uncle Ethan indicated, I'm Nathan Malcolm. I'm Dorothy and Joe's oldest grandson. Jay and Lisa are my parents. It's a great honor and privilege to have you all here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I'm just going to go ahead and start us out with a prayer. If you would, just bow with me. Father, please be gracious to us, to your children in this bittersweet time. Be steadfast in your promise to be our place of refuge and comfort. I ask that you would remind us, as Graham's did, that you have filled this life with sweet gifts of family, friends, and a beautiful creation. And that as we spend this time honoring her life, it would honor you, God, and point to the wonderful restoration you have planned for this world. You are wise and you are good, Father. Let us celebrate a life lived for your glory now. Amen. All right, Joel.
In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Give me Jesus. And when I am alone, and when I am alone, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Give me Jesus. And when I come to doubt, oh, and when I come to die, and when I come to doubt, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. can have all this world, but give me Jesus.
Side 10. Feel free to join in if you know it. There's a peace I've come to know. Though my heart and flesh may fail, there's an anchor for my soul. I can say it is well. Jesus has overcome, and the grave is overwhelmed. The victory is won. He is risen from the dead, and I will rise when he calls my name. No more sorrow, no more pain. I will rise on eagle's wings before my God, fall on my knees and rise. I will rise. There's a day that's drawing near, when this darkness breaks to light, and the shadows disappear, and my faith shall be my eyes. Jesus has overcome, and the grave is overwhelmed. Victory is won. He is risen from the dead, and I will rise when he calls my name. No more sorrow, no more pain. I will rise on eagle's wings before my God, fall on my knees and rise. I will rise. The voice of many angels sing, worthy is the Lamb, and I hear the cry of every longing heart. Worthy is the Lamb, and I hear the voice of many angels sing. Worthy is the Lamb, and I hear the cry of every longing heart. You are worthy, you are worthy, worthy is the And I will rise when he calls my name. No more sorrow, no more pain. I will rise on eagle's wings before my God, fall on my knees and rise. I will rise. I will rise. I'll mount up with eagle's wings. I will walk and not grow weary. I will run and not faint.
Those of you that don't know me, my name is Jay Halcomb. I'm the oldest son of Dorothy. So Ethan's my brother, and you know Crystal probably very well since she lives here, and my mom lived with their family most of the time. Thank you for coming. Mom would be happy to have everybody here. It was her desire to have people come and visit and stay a while. And that's what you've chosen to do today. Thank you for coming. I'd like to say that with all the pictures, all the slides, all the people that you've seen on all these slides, it just demonstrates how my mom, your friend, your grandmother, your whatever, however she was related to you, even her great-granddaughter, such an influence that she had on all these people. I look out among everybody here, and I can see that she touched your life in some way, because you're here. You're an example of what she stood for, what she believed. Each one of you. I remember a lot of you coming to my house as we grew up, how she touched your life all through the years. Even as old as I am, I remember you coming to our house. But Mom touched your life in some way. She was an example to you. She didn't just touch your life. She wasn't just an example that was written on paper, but she was flesh and blood. She lived what she believed. She passed that on to other people. It's something that she did with her life. And she did it in a way that touched other people. And how scriptural is that? If you think about it, there was an apostle named Paul. He wrote to one of his young disciples, Timothy. Timothy had been shedding some tears, which is okay for men to do. And he said of Timothy in 2 Timothy 1:5, Timothy, I'm mindful of the sincere faith within you that first dwelt in your grandmother, and then in your mother. And I can see that it's evident in you also. What an influence we all have on other people. Whether you're a grandfather, a grandmother, a mom, a dad, you have friends, what an influence you have in the way that you live your life and the things that you communicate to them when they sit on your lap, when they listen to you, when they see you and see what you do, how you live your life each day. What an influence. Just like my mom had a great influence on everybody and touched their lives in a special way. What a great influence each one of you have. What a great influence I have. And there's also examples. Mom was a great example to each one of you. There's living examples, and I can give some of the fleshly examples. Like, have you read Facebook lately? I'm not on Facebook, but I've read some of the testimonies of some of the grandkids. Have you read the one that, let me get this right. It was Seth Whitehead. He wrote of his testimony, how he was a believer, how he was a Christian, because his grandmother shared her life with him. To go on the computer and say that nationally how his grandmother touched his life. And also in turn, he wanted to reach out to other people and touch their lives. Not only Seth, but how about Lindsay Farmer? She's my daughter. Her and her husband brought down Adeline, who would be my mom's great-granddaughter. 2 days before Mom left this earth, she got to hold Adeline. Lindsay and Patrick, thank you for doing that. But Lindsay wrote on Facebook that I see the impact that my grandmother had on me, and I want to pass it on to my daughter also. So Lindsay has already begun the process that her grandmother passed on to her, and now she wants to pass it on to her daughter, which would be my mom's great-granddaughter. That's what real faith is. When you communicate it and pass it on to other people. Mom was a great example of that. How come she was a great example? Because personally, in her own life, there was a time that she accepted what Jesus Christ did for her. There was a time when she said, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it, but you say that I could have forgiveness. It wasn't because Mom went to church, it wasn't because she was baptized, it wasn't because she was nice to other people, because there was just that one time that she made that decision. And that lasted in her heart, and that's what she passed on to her kids, to her grandkids, and we live it out today. Mom was an example. You're an example also. How are you affecting other people? You came to visit today to pay your respects to Mom, to gather together, to fellowship with one another, which was what Mom wanted. Mom's in heaven. I know that. She knew that. Her last day, her last evening, when we were sitting with her, she'd get phone calls from some of the grandkids wishing her goodbye. And Mom could barely open her eyes, but she'd say, I'm going to heaven. That was a fact that she knew. And that's a fact that we know. You came today to visit and to say goodbye. Well, she wants you to come and visit. She wants you to come and stay where she is now. And that's possible for everybody in this room. She demonstrated it. So let's all see each other again someday in heaven. Thank you for coming.
Hello, everybody. I am Ethan Elkin, Dorothy's middle son. Thank you all for being here. It really means a lot. I can't thank you enough. My mother was a genealogy enthusiast. She was all the time researching, digging into family roots. Just one of her passions in life. Part of my tribute to Mother is I would like to share one of her wishes with all of you. She once asked me to read a section from an East Tennessee genealogy book at her family gathering, her final family gathering. The book is entitled The Heritage of Anderson County, Tennessee, 2000 edition. So this was 16 years ago. The section that she wanted me to read was entitled Joe Halcomb and Dorothy Janke. It's a pretty extensive rendering, but I've condensed that down for the sake of time. I don't want to keep you all here all afternoon. But here goes my condensed version. Joe Halcomb was born May 9th, 1935 in Coal Creek, Tennessee. His father was Howard Disney Halcomb. He was born in Dion, Kentucky. Joe's mother was Ada Doherty, born in Stainville, Tennessee. Joe married Dorothy Janke, born April 11th, 1933. She was the daughter of Walter Ludwig Janke. He was a wheat farmer and a cattle rancher. His wife was Tori May, and they lived in Beauvier, Saskatchewan, Canada. It's on the map, trust me. Joe and Dorothy had 3 children, Jay, Ethan, and Crystal. The book talks a whole lot more about Jay, Ethan, and Crystal, but I won't go there. What I would like to share is a little bit more about Mom's side of the family, the Janke side. She was the youngest of 8 children. She had 4 brothers and 3 sisters. She is survived by 1 sister, Ethel. Ethel lives in Medicine Hat, Alberta. If you'd like to learn a little bit more, you can visit the obituary at the website. A minute ago, Jay alluded to that Mom's life touched so many people. It's very evident when I look out in this room. You know, we've got a packed house. We have people from all over the country. We have people from Oregon here. We have people from Minnesota, Ohio, Alabama, Texas, Florida, Indiana. I've probably missed a few, but it speaks a testament to me how Mom has influenced so many people all over the place. You know, there's even people in Greece and Germany that grieve with us today. And I'm sure I didn't catch everything, but and then we look at Tennessee. There's people from all over Tennessee here today. Her sister Ethel couldn't be with us today. What I wanted to do was read her latest Facebook post that she wrote after Mother passed away. This was on February 16th that Aunt Ethel posted this. She said, "Yesterday, my beloved baby sister and the last of my siblings went to be with Jesus." And it's an exclamation point. We were 2 years apart, played together, ate mud pies together, walked to school together, herded cows together, sang together, and then get this, at revival meetings in 1945, we accepted the Lord together. Pretty cool. Pretty cool that Aunt Ethel would share this with us. She goes on to say that Mother lived with Aunt Ethel in the basement of the first school that Aunt Ethel taught in. She was so happy to be a great grandmom. Thanks, Lindsay, for crowning her with the joy of holding Adeline. How I'll miss her chats and Skypes. God needed her. She is no longer in pain. Thanks for all your prayers and support. God bless you, everyone. Hugs. It's pretty sweet from Aunt Deborah. I don't intend to stand up here and tell you all about what a great mother I had, what a great person she was. You all already know that. I can't thank God enough for blessing me with a mother like Dorothy, even if she made me eat fried chicken livers when I was a kid. But I'm still blessed. And what's really cool, as far as I'm concerned, her blessing continues even today, and it'll continue tomorrow, next week, next month, as long as I live. But I still want to eat fried chicken livers. I thank you all for being here. You are wonderful people, wonderful, wonderful people. It's been a pleasure meeting up with all of you. And God bless all of you.
Hi, everybody. You know who I am, so I don't have to introduce myself, but with my brothers, we just thank you so much for the effort that you came just to be with us. And if my mom could, she would say, don't do a thing of this. But she's not here, so who cares, right? I just had a few things to say about Mom, but just wanted you to know that I was privileged to be with her the last 3 weeks when she was really sick and really in pain. And she finished well. She had the courage of a warrior, and her faith was strong. Her wit was really right there to the very end. The very last day, she was cracking jokes and puns, and just what she could get out was right there. And I want to just share with you her passing, because it was just so precious. It was early in the morning, and my brother, we were taking turns, and I was privileged to be with her. And I knew that her time was drawing. And I said, Mom, you just go on, you just run, and you run as fast as you can. And we'll come along a little bit. And I said, don't drop your teeth. You just keep going. And just, we'll go on. And I could tell she was just right there thinking. And Mike and I started to sing. And we sang, Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus. And she just went. And she just went with the peace of God. And the cry of her heart was to be with her God. And it was just so precious. And I know that she would want you to know that she just went to be with her God and to worship her God the way that we're all made to be. You know, we're not made for this world. We're made for eternity. And, you know, the hope that I have is to be with her. And I saw in her Bible the key to life, and she had Matthew 6:21 circled, and it said, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And her heart is with the Lord, and she's with her Creator. And we give praise to God that she is with her God forever. And like Jay said, it's our heart that if you don't know that you'll talk to one of us. But her treasure is also in this room. Each one of us are her treasure. And you are precious to her. So her treasure is still here in this room. My mom treasured relationship. She has prayed for probably every single person in this room. She's prayed for your health. She's prayed for your marriage. She's prayed for your grades. She's prayed for your marriages, like I said, your salvation. She's prayed for your pets. She's prayed for your food. She's prayed for your heart, for your courage, for your strength, for your attitudes. She has prayed heaven down for us, and I am so thankful for that. She's prayed for relationships to be restored, for conflict to be resolved. She's prayed for forgiveness and grace in relationships. So who knows the impact of those 82 years on eternity for our lives. She had courage with her suffering. In 1972, she had a fall with me, and it brought on spasmodic torticollis, which is very painful. She handed down that gene to me, and that's why my voice is like it is. But she taught us that you can live with pain, and it doesn't define me as a person. And she just lived. She chose to live through her pain. She chose to have fun when she didn't feel like it, and she chose to spread joy instead of the temptation to just really draw into pain. And so I give glory to God for my mom. And I was going to leave you with something the Lord gave me when she passed, and that was Psalm 116, verse 15. And it says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his godly ones." And I know that death is precious to God. It's not something to be afraid of. And she just ran right into his arms. And I think I should tell you a funny story because it's just so serious here. But when I was about 9 or 10 years old, it was back in the day of the big vans with the carpet. And my parents redid this carpeted van. I was on the inside, and I was just kind of laying against the back doors, had my feet on the back doors, just kind of kicking them. And I thought, I wonder if I kicked this really hard, what would happen? So I just, with all my might, I kicked the back doors, which flew open. But what I didn't realize is Mom was bending down on the other side of the doors. And I heard a tremendous thump. And I got up, and the doors were open, and Mom was laying on the floor, and or on the ground. And she never let me forget. Or the time I walked her in the greenhouse for the day, and forgot about her. And Dad asked me where Mom was when he came home from work, and I said, I haven't seen her in a while. And so he had to go let her out. She takes me a pretty good while. But thank you all so much. It means so much.
About a week before I graduated, of course, we were hanging out with family, having dinner and stuff, and Grandma was giving her blessing to Luke and I, because we just graduated, and she gave me this piece of paper, it has a poem on it, and I have this pinned up on my, like, whatever that board is that you pin stuff on. I have it at college, but it's in front of me, and whenever I'm debating what sort of man, what kind of person I want to be, I just look at it and read over it. And usually it makes my mind up pretty good. But it says, if you can keep your head when everyone about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or be lied about and don't deal in lies, or being hated and don't give way to hatred, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves and made a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave way, or things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it all in one turn of pitch and toss and never lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your long term long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with the crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count on you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And what's more than that, you'll be a man.
All right. I also want to just thank you again. This is really just wonderful to have everyone here. And I'm going to follow in Crystal's suit and tell a funny story because it's way too serious. You're right. To speak to Graham's sort of adventurous nature, she and I, we were on the river back in East Tennessee, and we just decided we were going to try bamboo one time, like as in eat it, because pandas do it. So don't ask me why that was a good idea, but we tried it. We dug up it's really just cane, on the river, on the side of the river, and we cooked it up and tried to eat it, and it was gross, but we did. And it was just sort of her quirky, funny, adventurous nature, and I love that. Also, I wanted to tell a story about chasing the van down the driveway, again at the river, between her house and our house, and how she slammed on the brakes, ran up and whipped my cream. And that means she gave me a spanking, a really bad one. So, but that was what she would always say to us as little kids, is, I'm gonna whip your cream. And I'm gonna tell my little boy that. So anyway, but I want to give my tribute to Graham's. Again, I'm Nathan, and then my younger sister is Lindsay, and then they've got a newborn, Adeline, who you've heard a lot about already. That comes into play in a moment. But I just want to tell you this afternoon how I'm able to experience joy in the midst of this grieving, and why I celebrate Graham's life rather than mourn what could be just a fleeting thing. So last Thursday, or I guess it's longer than that, but it felt like just last Thursday, 2 weeks ago almost, I received a call from my mom and dad. Graham's wasn't doing well at all, and that it wasn't going to be long before she passed. Some of my closest Christian friends were at my house. In fact, one of them's here today. When I received that call, and they gently asked, "Who is Graham's? What was she like? And what did you learn from her?" One thing in particular I told them about Graham's and her life that I'd like to share with you is after Papa died, the way she clung to Jesus and his future restoration of all things. Just that turn, something that became very evident to me and obviously to all of us here as we've already been talking about it this afternoon. She loved her life, her family, and her friends, but she loved God the most. She stepped through life moment by moment, clinging to Jesus. So for me, a young man with potentially a long life ahead, her life was a clear, resounding exhortation to do the same. Like all of us, she experienced difficulty, suffering, and loss. But her response to this broken world was to obey Jesus' command in Matthew 11:28. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So I'll leave you with some of Grams's final words to Adeline, our newborn niece. She said just right before we left, "Always walk with God. Always, always, always. He will be good to you."
There really aren't enough words to describe one person's life in full, much less Grams's. She was an amazing woman. She prayed all those things for all those people. She came from Canada, the wilds up there, to the slightly different wilds of East Tennessee. She saw a lot of things. She went a lot of places. Like I said, I can't really describe it. She also was the lady who put a sheet over her head and scared the crap out of Joel and I when we were playing out in the dark one time. Luckily, I was wearing my brown pants. But she really just embraced life. There was one thing I learned from her was that I don't know how many other 70 and 80-year-olds got on Facebook before their grandkids did, but she did. She would Skype regularly with her relatives in Canada. She really was always changing, always adapting, always overcoming. She overcame pain. She would adapt to joy, to different people. So if there's one thing from what I learned from her, is that really just how important life is and how important it is to grasp life. And she continues on in that.
Okay, we would like to open a podium for just a minute for any friends that would like to say something, if you feel so compelled. If not, we can start into the hymnal portion. Uncle Mike, would you like to say a little something? This gentleman is Ken Molnex. Ken and my father and mother go back many more years. Ken has probably known my parents longer than I have. He's been a very dear family friend. And Ken was very instrumental in our father's passing as far as last rites for him. But I'd like to turn it over to Ken and let him say a few words. This guy is also known as our Uncle Mike.
I figured out that I've known Joe and Dot for 59 years. How we came together was, I was in the Air Force. I just passed 17. got assigned to McClellan Air Force Base, just about the time Joe and Dorothy got assigned to the base. Joe and I were on flying crews, and you know, we were sort of knot-headed 17, 18-year-olds. There was about 5 of us on the crew, and we flew every 3 or 4 days. And to keep us straight, and this was, I was more afraid of Dorothy than I was of Joe. And Joe was my boss. Because she could look at you with a turn of the head, and you knew you were in trouble. Our routine was we would fly, we would come down and rest, and then we'd all, these 4 or 5 of us that were teenagers, would gather at their house, and because it was continually 3 or 4 days, why we never had necessarily weekends, but we would gather for hamburgers and hot dogs. We never had enough money for much else. And probably a couple of beers. And that was when she knew she had us, because we would have done something that she had already heard about, and it was almost like getting set in the corner. I'll say it early on that I'm going to use the term stand-up person. I know in my heart that I'm the stand-up person that I feel that I am because of those two, and especially Dorothy. You know, she served her God well. There was never a time that I can remember that she didn't have something to say to me about, think about what you're doing, you know, the way to Jesus is something you need to know about and work on and do, because one day you'll get to face him, and I want you to be there with me later. And it's made that mark in my heart and on the things I do. She was a funny person. We've already heard today that she had that bit of humor in her. She liked to play little practical jokes, and she liked to laugh. And so there was always little stories going back and forth, or jokes, if you want to say. She was a strong person. Joe and I went to Canada one time to pick Dorothy up. She was staying with her mom and dad in the last place that her parents lived. I forget the name of the town now, but the town was about 4 blocks long and wide, and there wasn't room for me to stay at her parents' house, so she farmed me out to Vernon, her brother. I know she did it on purpose, because he was haying at the time, and he had more quarter sections than you could ride across in a day, and all of it was hay. And I don't think I've ever worked as hard as I did then, and she always smiled about that. But she has always been that person I could talk to. We could talk about our troubles. When Joe passed, she struggled a great deal. We probably all know that. It was my pleasure and honor to come out. She called me one day and she said, "Kenneth, I need you." And so I got on an airplane and came out to Knoxville, Lake City, and there on the Clinch. And she had made up her mind to move forward after Joe's passing. And we spent about a week going through everything in the house and crying a lot and actually getting it down to where she could handle the idea that our Joe wasn't there anymore. She was, I can't expound on anything that's been said here today because every bit of it was Dorothy. And I'm just so proud to be able to be here today to share with you the idea that this was one great lady, the strongest, most purposeful, driven person. And she's right there next to my mother, who had so many of the same characteristics. And I want to tell you that I'm proud to be here, and I'm honored to meet any one of you and have met many of you today for this great tribute that we have for this great lady, a great mother, grandmother, and a dear, dear, dear friend who I'm going to miss terribly. My wife is here. She's known Dorothy and Joe for 47 years. And this is going to be a very lingering sadness for us, just as I know it will be for you. Thank you very much.
Well, I guess there's a lot I could say about Grams, but a lot is already. I'm Luke, for those of you that don't know. I'm one of her grandchildren. But I thought I might make it clear that Grams was really cool. In case you didn't know, she actually used to drive a Porsche. Yeah, you saw her throwing some gang signs there too. So she was actually cool. She usually had the latest technology. She had Facebook, all that. But she was also really fascinated with flying. I took some glider lessons earlier, and she was just super fascinated with that. And of course, her husband flew on a plane. I guess the Air Force was just kind of in her heritage. But she was just always, no matter what we did, she was always just proud of any of our accomplishments. But one thing I noticed is that she was always, no matter how proud she was of something we did, she was always even more proud that we were Christians and seeking Christ and following Him. And that just really touched me. It kind of showed me that the important things in life are not what's on this earth, but what's in heaven. And so, I don't really care if I make a bad grade or something like that, mess up. I know, eternity's coming. I'm headed to Christ. So something she left me with, I guess, when she gave Seth and I our blessings after high school, she gave me a poem as well. And this is kind of how I think, this is how I think she went to heaven. I don't know if it's just how I pictured it. It's called High Flight, and it says, "Oh, I have slipped the surely bonds of earth, and danced the skies on laughter silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed, and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, done 100 things you have not dreamed of, wheeled and soared and swung, high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up, the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the wind, swept heights with easy grace, where never lark or even gold or even eagle flew. And while with some silent lifting mind I've trod, the high untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the grace of God." So she gave that poem to me, and that's what I want to share for you.
Would anybody else like to come and say a word? There's stairs over here.
Oh. I love Graham so much, and he missed me. Thank you.
That was Boaz and Victoria sitting over there, and the Whiteheads were really gracious to share their grams with us. It meant a lot to us to have a grandma in our life. I look like one, but I'm a mom. I don't get to be a grandma yet. And we got to go visit Grams about a month ago, and she always had a little toy or a little joke to pull out for the kids and make everybody laugh. She was very understanding. There were several times that I got to pray with her when I felt discouraged. And she assured me that, Vicki, God can flip your flop. And when I get really overwhelmed, I remember Graham saying that to me, reminding me that whatever children God would send to us, that I would feel very aware of how incompetent I am to meet their needs. She would assure me that she was praying for me, and that the most important thing was that God was sending them so that we could tell them about Jesus and not to worry about what I did wrong. God could right it. So I'm very grateful for that. And the last thing she said to me before we left, she put her hand on our baby and said, I'm praying, and it won't be long until you can adopt him. I just know that. And we found out yesterday, we got a call that his birth parents had voluntarily surrendered their rights, and the adoption process had already started the day before. So I texted Crystal and said, she's already up there. Her heavenly, right beside the throne of God prayers are working miracles even now. Thank you.
I just want to say that we moved down here from Ohio, and I met Dorothy. And it was a wonderful experience. And she and I used to go swimming, and we had many good times. And Dorothy was a hugger and a kisser. And one time when we were swimming, we went out in the car and we were talking for probably half an hour. I shouldn't say this, but she just wanted to hug me and kiss me, prayer warrior. And I had so many good times with her. And I wrote a poem for her the day I heard she died. And I think the devil was against me because I tried everything last night, the day before, to get together this. I bought picture frames, the glass broke, everything happened. But I thank you for the chance to read this. She always wanted me to go to the river with her. So she said, I'm going to the river. I often heard her say, just a quiet place, not too far, where we can sit and pray. She invited me so many times, and I never got to go. It seems things got so hectic, I'd have to tell her no. She wanted me to come so much to share this place with her. And knowing that I let her down is painful to endure. She spoke of it so often that while shopping, I did spy a shirt that had the wording, the river, and it made me cry. So I got the shirt and wrapped it and delivered it to her. And my friend was really happy to share the gift of love. But now I feel so much despair. I never went with her. I never shared the quietness. I failed my friend, I'm sure. She sat out by the river, just dreaming with a nod. She loved the time she spent there, just her home, and God. She told me about the sunsets and the quiet breezes there, and she loved her quiet getaway, no problems, not a care. And now she's gone to heaven. I'm sure there are rivers there, but now I have to wait a bit for a river there to share. So friends, I want to tell you about a thing I learned today. When you have a chance to be a friend, don't let it pass away. And that's what I learned. So, and then I made this little picture for her. But this is her going to the river. So it has been an honor to know Dorothy and her family. And I thank you, Mike.
Anybody else? Anything you want to say?
I'm glad I don't have to go up front. Last July, I'm Nancy Waldo, and I know her from when they attended Christ Community Church. Last July 4th, Ashley was house sitting for the Whiteheads, and she gave me a call, and she and Miss Dorothy were looking for something to do because they were bored. And we weren't doing much at all. Dave had been diagnosed with cancer and was going to start treatments in 2 days. And so they came over, and I got out the red rose tea because that was really important to have on hand. We had just kind of a light supper. And then we were looking to watch some of the fireworks, but the trees have grown up around our property, so we didn't see a whole lot. And then Timothy got the bright idea that we would set off some fireworks, and so he went and got his stash. And so he and Ashley were outside, and Miss Dorothy and Dave and I were on the screened-in porch because it had started to sprinkle. And they were attempting to set off things, and then Dave decided to go down there. And my son and my husband, and fireworks always makes me a little nervous. And I began to get anxious. Would Dave catch a cold because it was misting, and would he get burned and we'd have to take him to the emergency room, because all in my mind was Monday and that Dave was going to start treatment. And Miss Dorothy, well, they were out there and I was hovering and moving about. She said, "Let him go. Let him have fun." And it was really special, and I tried really hard to back off. But it was a special moment and a special memory.
My name is Mike Whitehead. I'm Grams' favorite son-in-law. That's how she only had one daughter, but that's beside the point. But Grams was always a hoot, and we always shared a lot of funny moments together. We lived in San Antonio. My wife had twins, Seth and Luke. They were our fourth and fifth that came along. And poor Crystal was in the bed recovering, and I was running around trying to take care of all the other kids. And then there was this, and Grams was down there at our house helping us. And there was this knock on the door. So I opened the door, and there was this little girl selling Girl Scout cookies. So I was out there talking to her, about what kind of cookies they had and all that, because I was interested in cookies. And then Grams opens the door, and she comes out on the porch too, and she's interested in some cookies as well. So we're talking to her, and then we heard Seth or Luke crying, I don't know which one. And I said, "Grams," or I said, "There's the baby." She goes, "Oh, I'll get it.
And she goes inside and comes out and is holding one of them. And that little girl was looking at me and looking at Graham. And we didn't pick up on that till we went inside, and we just had the biggest laugh. That little girl went home. I don't know what she told her parents. We had a lot of funny things like that happen to us. She was a great mother-in-law, and she made me feel, part of the family, and I feel blessed to have known her. Anybody else? Okay.
I've loved Graham since for 4 years, and I'm sad that she died, but I'm happy that she's at heaven.
Hey everyone, I'm Nancy Whitehead. I am Mike's little sister. And when I was living in Nashville, I used to come down to Mike and Crystal's house a lot to kind of escape. And Graham's always made me feel, well, wanted, needed, all of those good things. And she was always very funny with me, had incredibly intelligent and hilarious things to say, but she was genuinely concerned with me, how I was, what was going on in my life, and that's the kind of person she always was. And I know she is still that way as an angel, but I always remember every time I would go to leave, she would hug me and kiss me. She's a hugger and a kisser. And she would say, "I love you, kiddo." So, knowing that she is a child of God, I know that when she ran straight to heaven, God said, "Hello, kiddo."
See, somebody over here.
My name is Jerry Roper. We go to First Baptist Church, and for the last 2 or 3 years, Dorothy sat with us when she didn't sit with Mike and Crystal. My wife meets people when they come close to us or come sit in the same section, and she and my wife became close friends. And if Mike and Crystal were not there maybe or something, she said she'd come over and sit with us. And my wife, in fact, we just fell in love with her, put it that way. I know one time that my wife and Dorothy were looking at comparing hands, and my wife said, "That was for me playing croquet from night to dark." And Dorothy said, "That's just because of old age with me." But anyway, when she couldn't find Dorothy, my wife would get up and go see Dorothy here today. She'd walk over and look over where Crystal and Mike were, and maybe either that, she'd sit with them or sit with us, And for the last 2 or 3 years, I guess. And so about the last time there, my wife felt like there was something wrong, She never told us about anything. She was just real cheerful and congenial, which she was. I know I'm so happy to see this godly family. I wasn't going to do this. But anyway, she was just an offspring of her, just like her. I said one time, I wish I could see my grandfathers and my great-grandfathers and all of my relatives way back, This is going to be just passed, it's been passed down, hasn't it? It's going to keep going. These godly children. That's great.
I just wanted to say it couldn't be a better tribute to Grams. Here she is wanting everybody to know Jesus, and to hear these 3 children of hers get up and say what they have said, and then the grandchildren get up. It just, I couldn't imagine a more fitting tribute to her, and to see that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
How old are you, Grant? Anyone else?
I call her Aunt Dorothy. She was my mom's baby sister. My mom was the oldest sister. I'm Daryl Naleski. We traveled from Florida. But I remember she'd come visit us in Florida, and she was always a little bit wild. Recently, I read the package on black walnuts, and it says the wild side of the nut family. And I thought, she's the wild side of the Janky family. She was the youngest, and I remember hearing these stories from Dorothy and Joe. They were in Spain. They drive sports cars. And my mom was a very strict Christian. She was always worried about her baby sister. But now I look and I see the legacy, of her children, and her grandchildren, great grandchildren. And I think, she was a mighty woman of God, and as wild as she was, nobody can say that Aunt Dorothy was not a true believer, a child of God. What a blessing she's been.
Anyone else?
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the program, the hymn. All right.
Before we sing, I will share my testimony of Grams. The lady with the baby that came up here is my wife, and the little boy and the little girl that said what they said are my adopted children. And thank you for sharing that poem. My name is Rick Lee. I didn't know Grams very long, and I didn't know her very well. Met her here at church. Knew Mike and Crystal before we came to the church here. But let me just cap what my wife said. We had the privilege of being foster parents. And we adopted these 2 little children, and they came from a terrible situation. And I know, thank you for sharing that poem about going down to the river. I'm very convinced that your Grams walks in the river of life, walks in the river of God, walks in the river of the Holy Spirit. Because she was a grandmother to these 2 little children that we've been privileged to have as our own to raise. It's amazing to me. We think about, how can I be a witness? How can I talk about the love that God has for me? And I saw this woman, frail and feeble, and she reached 2 little children, and I know that she has touched Victoria's and Boaz's life very deeply. And so Crystal asked if I would lead in these hymns. And this first one, I think I've heard it before, but it's a new one for me. And I was looking at the words, God will take care of you. And I think that she would want me to say what I'm about to say. God will take care of you. It doesn't matter what we have been through. It doesn't matter what we're going through. It's incredible when we live in Christ every day and we surrender to Him every day. He takes care of us over and over and over. And it's been so wonderful to hear these stories of this crazy woman that loves Jesus and the reach that she has had. So let's go ahead and sing. We'll sit for this first one, but the second one, we're going to have to stand and just sing it out, because I know you know it. This first one is new to me. Hopefully you old timers will know this one, and y'all help me sing it, okay? Be not dismayed, whatever time, God will take care of you. Beneath His wings of love abide, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day. For all the way, He will take care of you. God will take care of you. Through days of toil when heart doth fail, God will take care of you. When dangers fierce your path assail, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day, for all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. All you may need, He will provide. God will take care of you. Trust Him and you will be satisfied. God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day, for all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. Lonely and sad from friends apart, God will take care of you. He will give peace to your aching heart. God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day, for all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. No matter what may be the test, God will take care of you. Being weary one upon His breast, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day, for all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. What a wonderful message. All right, I need to hear y'all. Let's stand. Because He lives, I can taste God sent His Son, they called Him Jesus. He came to love, heal, and
great is there to prove my Savior lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. How sweet to hold a newborn baby and feel the pride and joy he brings. But greater still, the calm assurance this child can face uncertain days because he lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. And then one day I'll cross the river, I'll fight life's and then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory, and I'll know he lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives.
If you would bow your head and pray with me. Oh God, the God of our forefathers, the God of this earth, the God of heaven, the God who holds our souls and gathers them to yourself. We just thank you for this soul that you have gathered this past week, the sweet soul that we value and hold on to. But we give it to you, and she goes to you freely. We thank you for her life, a life that only you can speak. We pray that our lives would also follow hers after you. Be with us until we go and join her with you once again. We love you so much, and thank you for all that we have been through, and we thank you for taking care of us. Be with us now in the next few weeks. Just heal our hearts and help us to continue looking to you. We ask all this in your name. Amen. Hey, and on behalf of her, the Lord bless you, keep you. Lord, make his face to shine upon you, and Lord, give you peace. Go in peace.
And also, not really from her, but somebody left their keys in the ladies' restroom, so go see the sound booth.
Ask where his daughter's studying. What's that? Ask where his daughter's about to study internship. Black holes. The last one? The last one, the one with the cross on, is not the one they were looking for. Which one? Make a deal, I have no idea. Kim for that
Oh, I mean, we didn't even have to. I guess we'll find out. We'll just go out and like start pressing the hands buttons. Yes, we go.
Great.